Hello again. So I have been recently watching a documentary on Netflix about Jimmy Savile, the famous or infamous paedophile. It went into a lot of detail and showed clips that hadn't been seen before. And what was interesting was how obvious in retrospect the signs were. He was a child abuser hiding in plain sight. He repeatedly made jokes that weren't really jokes about how he liked young ladies. He blindsided his female interviewers with sexual innuendo. He was always putting his arms around women, kissing them, making suggestive comments in front of the camera. And apparently the women would just giggle helplessly as though they'd been caught in a trap and didn't quite know it. He would even put his hands completely over their faces from behind, which is quite a threatening thing to do, really, covering someone's eyes and nose and mouth for no obvious reason. I imagine if you had that done to you in public in front of a TV camera, it would startle you. It would send you into a state of utter confusion, so you wouldn't be able to believe your own judgment about what was actually happening. And that, of course, was what he was aiming for. If an interviewer tried to press him on the subject of the sleazy rumours, and there were many sleazy rumours, he would blatantly joke about it, saying, "My case comes up next Thursday," in such a way that nobody dared challenge him any further. There was also an undertone of menace about him, almost suggestive of a gangster boss. There was a sense that you had to laugh with him because if you didn't go along with it, you'd be in trouble. He had money, and he didn't appear to be spending it on fancy yachts or mansions, but he did have access to top-class lawyers. He also kept the police on side by inviting them to his flat every week for an indoctrination session. Of course, he didn't call it an indoctrination session, but I reckon that's what he was doing, making sure they were on his side and wouldn't be prepared to take any accusations against him seriously. Well, he did do a massive amount of fundraising for charity, millions and millions of pounds. So the institutions who benefited from his fundraising were, in effect, silenced by the fact that they needed that money. And he made sure that powerful public figures like Margaret Thatcher and Prince Charles were on his side too. He was a household name for decades. Always in the public eye, an oddball character, but everybody accepted his peculiar, eccentric manner because he'd groomed an entire nation, basically. I think most of the girls he managed to assault were already caught in the glamour and flew into his abusing arms like moths into a candle flame. See, he was a celebrity at a time when celebrities were rare, and celebrities who engaged with their public were even rarer. Back in the 60s, it was really something special to meet a celebrity. I encountered him during a Girl Guide holiday on the island of Jersey. One day, some of the girls came back to base and told us they'd seen Jimmy Savile down on the waterfront. This was quite a sensational thing. We all regularly watched Jimmy presenting Top of the Pops on TV with his funny mannerisms and his crazy hair. And now he was here in person. Woo! Excitement. Everybody wanted to go and meet him. So we went. And he was there in real life. A celebrity with apparently nothing better to do than to chat with some star-struck girls. We asked for his autograph, of course. He was happy to oblige. He wrote the initial J with a big round curve and a smiley face in the middle. Up close, he was strangely abrupt and mechanical. He didn't engage with us on a human level. He didn't show any interest in us as people. It was weird. He just wrote the autographs and handed them back to each of us in turn. He did tell us that he was going to be at the local Catholic church on Sunday, and maybe he'd see us there. Well, the Girl Guides are a Christian organisation, and as part of the holiday we were expected to attend church on Sunday. But it would have been the Anglican church if not for Jimmy Savile. Suddenly, everybody was very excited about attending the Catholic church. In fact, Savile didn't just sit in the pews with everybody else. He was invited to give a homily, as though he was a visiting bishop or something. So we heard about Jimmy's relationship with him upstairs, how he would chat to God on more or less equal terms, telling him off if he felt God needed it, and being more familiar than I had thought it was possible to be. I was so struck by that picture that I've carried it with me for 50 years. I guess having Jimmy Savile preaching from a pulpit is not a lot different from having a paedophilic priest doing it. A couple of years after that, I bought Jimmy's autobiography and read it. The story was of a self-made man who blagged his way to fame and fortune by picking up discarded cigar ends off the street and sticking them between his teeth as though he'd just smoked them. He mentioned how girls would flock to see him after his public appearances. He didn't say they were underage, of course. There was one particular girl in a blue dress who disappeared before he could make out with her, and he was still regretting the lost opportunity. She had a lucky escape. He said he called his book Love is an Uphill Thing because his publisher told him that putting love in the title would sell more copies. But it's interesting that he described love as an uphill thing. And then there was nothing at all in the book about actual love. I'm not sure he knew what love was. See you next time. Bye.